Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your ever-loving host, Shorty. And today we have what I can only describe as a thoroughly average comic book to review. Well, not thoroughly average. It lifts itself up on a couple of little notes, but there's also enough issues with it that don't really elevate it any further. What we're talking about is Bloodline, Daughter of Blade. And my first gripe, I suppose, is simply the fact that when you call a comic book Daughter of Blade, and that's going to be the main character of it, I don't think we need to spend quite as long as we do just going over background. I think you can drop into the action a little bit more. Not to say you just start straight in there. I think they actually made some nice choices of having inter-character dialogue between the main character and her mum for a while. But there's like huge long conversations about what people know and how they know about things and how they've been keeping secrets. And I just feel like it absolutely bogged down what could be a really good action comic. But thankfully, and this is the bit that does elevate it and stops me completely lamenting how poor this comic book is the dialogue is brilliant. There is some genuinely cool moments between Blade's daughter and her mum, and a lot of it is helped quite nicely by the fact that it's over two different time periods. So we have her as a young, I'm guessing like fairly recent teen. I'm terrible at this kind of thing. I have no idea how old the character actually is, and I'm just guessing. But she's quite precocious. Obviously very clever and very confident in herself, volunteering and signing up for after-school programs and extracurricular activities, and already assuming she's going to be fantastic at all of it. And her mum trying to kind of balance the fact that she is clearly exhausted by her daughter's effervescence, but does not want to do anything to dissuade her from thinking she can do everything she wants to do. And I like that. It feels very authentic. It feels very realistic. And then we've got 2 years later when she's fully into her teen period. She's dyed her hair and wearing vaguely goth kind of clothes. And she's pulled out of some extracurricular activities, and the head teacher has brought them in. And there's a little bit of a racial undercurrent to particularly why this has happened. And effectively, the mum just turns around and goes, "My daughter is not in any trouble. She's still doing great in classes. She's just pulling back from some thoroughly voluntary stuff." And the dialogue there is fantastic. It's fully like supportive parent, but also checking in on the daughter. Like, she has dropped out of these things. This is a change in personality, the kind of thing I imagine you would look for if you have a child, to see if there's anything going wrong. And it's all handled with maturity and smartness. It's like really, really well written stuff. But then there's just the other issues which drag it down. First and foremost, when it comes to the action sequences, and again, this is a Blade comic book, if you're buying it because you're expecting Daughter of Blade and Blade to be there with swords and killing vampires, the action sequences just lack something. The artwork managed to look both kind of stationary and unexciting, while also being absolutely covered in motion line and blur. And I feel like the artist just doesn't have enough confidence to really push what they can do, and it just feels like they've drawn a fight scene as if it's like just taking photos of people in action, and then realised it doesn't look like they're in action. And there's one particular bit where I swear they could have just done something with the speech bubbles, and the fight scene would have made more sense, because you had an action sequence where somebody's swinging an arm, and there's a clear onomatopoeia for a contact with somebody, but it's the way that the speech bubble is out. It feels like the action's happened, and then the person's speaking, and at the end of the speech bubble, there's them responding to being hit, but it clearly looks like the hit's already happened. I just can't help but feel there's other ways of doing stuff like that which wouldn't pull me out of the combat, which would pull me out of the dynamic nature. And when you've got a character like Blade, one of the most dynamic characters, and yes, I guess if you're not like really into comic books, maybe you're not as aware of who Blade is, and maybe this why not hit you quite so much. But I think Blade, more than a comic book character, is known for the movies. He's known for being a moving character. The action sequences in that first movie and the third one, and the second one, are really, really good. I mean, yeah, there's some CGI issues, but just not being able to show that kinetic nature on a page, which is a trick. It's a hard thing to do, but not be able to do it this badly, and I just can't help but feel it's not going to really get anyone on side very effectively. There's also, in terms of writing, there's an introduction of a character in a high school classroom, and I swear to God, they were trying to do a big reveal at the end of the comic book who this person was. But I'm aware that Buffy the Vampire Slayer exists, and at no point was I ever going to be surprised by what you were doing. Buffy the Vampire Slayer exists in the world. If people are reading a comic book about a vampire's daughter, I'm willing to bet they've heard of Buffy, and you are not going to surprise anyone by that. And the fact that you clearly set it up to be a surprise, I'm just disappointed. I've got to be honest, if you were looking to buy this because you were just set on the concept and wanted to explore this character and find out what they were happening with him in that world, I don't think there's nothing there to make you not want to carry on reading it. It's a perfectly competent comic book. But if you're just picking it up to try it out because you heard Blade's cool, you want to give something a go, not entirely sure this will make it onto your pull list after you've read the first issue, unfortunately. It certainly hasn't made it onto mine. That's it for me for now, though. I'm still checking if I'm going to do one more this week, but if not, I'll be back next week. Just make sure you hit the subscribe button, like it, and tell your friends about me. Why not? And until I see you again, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.